Yankees win in a series against the Tampa Bay Rays, but on recording day, and yet again, they fail to sweep. So now they are 4-10 with chances to sweep series, and that could very well come back to bite them. Now, obviously, there's definitely some pretty good vibes in the sense that the Yankees have acquired Joey Gallo, which may or may not work out, but certainly it's always exciting when you can bring someone in. And I have a feeling I might be doing another episode before or around the deadline, which is 4 p.m. Friday, which will be before the start of the Marlins series. So there's a lot going on in that sense. But just in terms of the Yankees-Rays series, they win the series, but they definitely it would have been nice if they could have gotten the sweep. It doesn't happen. The vibe here would be different if they had lost the first game and won the next two. That's how it goes. But you'll take the series win. But again, it's kind of the same old issues. And weirdly, they win these night games, they lose these day games, these getaway day, and just in general, the day game record is really bad. So again, I say this a lot, but trends continuing. So Yankees Rays game one, Jordan Montgomery against Shane McClanahan, and Montgomery did a good job. 5 innings, gives up no runs, and it was a good. Not so much in the way of length. Like him and Cortez both went 5 innings, but it was effective. And the bullpen was shaky again in the first game, but they were able to hold on. And in this one, it was no score for a while until the Yankees got on the board in the 5th with a Greg Allen leadoff double and then DJ LeMahieu with an RBI single. And that gave the Yankees 1-0 lead. Of note, Aaron Judge returned. It was his first game back. Since he was out due to COVID. He would weirdly in game 2 miss the beginning of the game. I think there was tests that he was taking, but then he ended up coming in later in the game. He's fine, but Judge returns. And so LeMahieu gets the RBI single, and then the Yankees would take a bigger lead in the 6th as Torres singles, Odor singles, makes it first and third, and then Gio Urshela gets a 2-run double to make it 3-0. So Urshela with a big hit. Now Chad Green comes in the 6th, and Green, who I believe his last outing had been that bad outing against Boston, pretty sure that had been his last outing. Yeah, where he blew it against the Red Sox. And then in this one, he gives up a 2-out, 2-run home run to Brandon Lau, makes it 3-2. He struggled that inning. It was not good, but the Yankees hold on to the lead. Then in the 7th, it would be Jonathan Loaisiga, who he would bounce back from his rough outing in Boston with a 1-2-3 inning. Then in the 8th, a big insurance run, a home run from Ryan Lamar off the lefty Jeffrey Springs, and that would make it 4-2. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Zach Britton would get into some trouble. Sometimes his control is an issue, and he needs the double play ball. Well, both happened here. Yandy Diaz would walk. There'd be a wild pitch to move him over. Choi strikes out. And then a ground rule double by Arozarena to score Diaz, then an infield single by Lau, and then 4-3, first and third, 1 out, a really big double play to Mike Zunino. So Britton doesn't really do well, but he's able to get out of it with the lead. Then in the bottom of the 9th, Chapman comes in, and the first 2 batters were good. Strikeout and then a line out, Kiermaier and Margot. Then he had Juan DeFranco 0-2, and then he walked him. So again, with Chapman, it's always a bit of a high wire act. And then Nelson Cruz would be the go-ahead run. And he had homered off of Chapman earlier in the year in Minnesota, if you remember. But he was down 3-0 on the count, but Chapman would fight back and get Cruz to strike out. So the bullpen almost blew it again, but they're able to hang on. It was a good win. They win it 4-3. Again, good starting pitching. And again, for the most part, the starting pitching has really, in my opinion, been pretty excellent. And in terms of expectation, by far been the best part of this team this season. Game 2, it would be Nestor Cortez versus Michael Wacha, and a similar script in this game. And during this game is when the Joey Gallo rumors started to kind of swirl, and it was kind of apparent that the Yankees were going to bring him in during this game too. So Cortez really does a good job. His only blemish would be in the 4th, where it would be a leadoff infield single by Wander Franco, and then with 2 outs, an RBI double by Brandon Lau. That would make it 1-0, and that would be all that Cortez would give up. Then in the 5th, Urshela reaches on an error by Wendell. Then Greg Allen doubles. And then Judge would pinch hit at that point for Florial because then he was ready and strikes out. So Judge comes in and actually hurts them. But then DJ LeMahieu luckily gets a sac fly. So a big sac fly for LeMahieu, ties it up at 1. Great job by Lucas, and the Yankees really couldn't touch Michael Wacha in this one. I guess they kind of got to McClanahan a little bit in game one, but Wacha in game two really held him down. Lucas Licky pitched an excellent sixth and seventh inning. Licky, a couple of 1-2-3 innings in the sixth and seventh. Then in the bottom of the eighth, Britton, leadoff walk, which you don't want to see, but he gets his double play and he gets another ground out. So when Zach Britton's getting that ball on the ground, it's a good sign. And then in the bottom of the ninth, Chad Green comes in, who he had struggled, and he had a nice inning. No strikeouts, but he's able to get the 1-2-3. Then in the 10th, the Yankees take the lead and, get an extra run as well, which helped. Pete Fairbanks comes in. He would actually leave this game in this inning due to shoulder inflammation, but Greg Allen would be hit by a pitch with that initial runner on second, which was Urshela. Allen gets hit by the pitch, and he was actually late scratch in the last game. So I think he's going to be okay. He was originally in the lineup, but they took him out. We'll see what comes of this, because Allen's been a pretty good piece for the Yanks since he's been called up. And then Aaron Judge gets an RBI single. It was a ball when he hit it. It looked like it had a chance to be a double play, but it kind of took it wasn't an easy play for Franco. It went off his glove, and Judge hit it relatively well, pretty sharp. And that gets a run in, and Allen moves over to third as well. So I guess Allen wasn't too affected at that point. Then Kittredge comes in for Fairbanks due to the injury, and Kittredge throws a wild pitch. So that's big. It gets Allen in, and it gives the Yankees a 3-1 lead. And they had a chance for more and were a little unlucky in not being able to score beyond that, but they have a 3-1 lead. Chapman comes in to close out the game. And at first, he strikes out loud, but then he walks to Rosarena, exactly what you don't want to do. And then there was a close play, but a wild pitch. As Nelson Cruz pinch hits, who struck out the night before against Chapman, he pinch hits, and there's a wild pitch, and it moves over the runners to second and third. So really, you're basically a single away from tying the game. But Chapman strikes out Cruz, which was huge. He got the better of Cruz in back-to-back games. And then Francisco Mejia pops out to LeMahieu, and LeMahieu almost lost it, which would have been just a kind of typical Yankee nightmare situation this year, but he's able to catch it. It was pretty remarkable. He lost it, kind of stumbled, and ends up making a nice catch on what should have been an easy play. Yankees hold on again for a low-scoring 3-1 win. Then the last game, with Cole on the mound, against Luis Patino, you were hoping, let's get a sweep, but you got to be conditioned as a Yankee fan to know, like I said at the beginning of this episode, that they're not going to come through, typically speaking, when it comes to sweeping series, sort of, even though they're only going to Miami from Tampa, it's not like a crazy trip by any means, but just that travel day stuff. It's just not going to happen. And so now they're 4-10 with a chance to sweep. In this one, it would be, trouble early. DJ LeMahieu's streak would end in this game as well. LeMahieu had a 37 or 38 game, might have been 37, on base streak that ended. And what's crazy is that after it's all said and done, 264 batting average. What that tells me is not that many multi-hit games, and I guess some walks along the way, because the numbers, you'd think they'd be a lot better. They're really not that fantastic. A guy who I want to call up that's been really bad is Giancarlo Stanton. Down to 255, struck out 3 times in this final game. He's been really poor, and I think that the plan is to have him play the field at Miami, his old stomping grounds. But again, with trade possibilities and everything like that, we will see how things shake out. But as far as this game goes, Cole just didn't have it early. Really bad first inning. It would be a single by Lau, a walk to Choi, RBI single Yandy Diaz, and a 3-run homer for Austin Meadows. And Meadows has gotten the better of Cole. 2 former Pirate, farmhands. Certainly Cole pitched for the Pirates, and Meadows was in their system. And Meadows, to my knowledge, in these Yankees-Rays matchups, Meadows has gotten the better of Cole quite a bit, at least in terms of hitting home runs. So it makes it 4-0, and it felt like it was over, and it basically was. Cole would settle. The Yankees wouldn't do anything offensively. Cole would settle down until the 6th, where with 1 out, Meadows singles, Arozarena singles, Wander Franco walks. And then Kiermaier hits, which should have been a sack. It was a sack fly, but Gardner drops it. Gardner should have made the play. It would have been 5-0. Instead, he drops it. Everyone's safe. It's 6-0. And then the floodgates really open. Albert Abreu comes in. And I've Abreu, who going into the season I thought was like not someone you want to bring in a ball game. He really, in this one, imploded beyond belief. Albert Abreu, he's going to get sent down for many reasons, and I'm not sure when we're going to see him again, just in terms of, again, the trades and this ineffective outing. Zunino would walk. Then it would be a grand slam for Brett Phillips. So that's 10-0. Then a walk to Brandon Lau, then a 2-run homer for G-Man Choi that makes it 12-0. Then a Yandy Diaz single and a 2-run homer for Austin Meadows, 14-0. I mean, Abreu, 2 walks, 3 homers, and a single. Really, really bad. And then Sal Romano would come in, and Romano would, pitch a scoreless rest of that 6th and 7th. And then Clay Holmes would make his Yankee debut and pitch a 1-2-3/8. So good to see, I guess, some newer Yankees, do something good in that situation. But now we head to Miami, where it'll be Jameson Taillon against Zach Thompson. Thompson's been pitching pretty well for Miami, but Taillon has been on a pretty good streak for the Yanks. And then it'll be Domingo Germán, who is coming off that really good outing against Boston. And then the last game is going to be Jordan Montgomery. So for this one, you really hope the Yankees get a series win. The major, talk right now is what are the Yankees going to do in terms of the trade deadline? There's a lot of rumors out there. I'm here, Luke Voigt's name is, and I had said about Luke Voigt, even going into the season, coming off that amazing year last year, we had the most home runs in baseball. Voigt should have absolutely potentially been traded just in terms of flexibility wise, and he was a bit redundant, but there's a lot of, there's a lot of rumors out there right now. I'm just looking right now, honestly. And, I wouldn't be surprised if something else goes down. Will it be to the extent of Gallo? I don't know, but I'll certainly be here to report on it. If it does, expect a busy next less than 24 hours at this point. And again, as far as the Yankees race series goes, Yankees win the series, but they fail to sweep. This has been the theme all season.